The following is a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
From the birthplace of modern winemaking, Sonoma, California, welcome to The Winemakers. Local experts Sam Coturri, Bart Hansen, and Brian Casey, along with host John Myers, invite you to listen in as they discuss all facets of winemaking. So sit back, pour yourself a glass, and let's hear what the guys have to say this week.
Franklin, how are we on sound? Everybody comfortable? Everybody has wine?
Yeah,
Everybody has wine.
I got wine.
Oui, chef.
You do? Okay. Are we rolling?
What did you guys open? Oh, this.
We have the Magnum.
This is the 19 Syrah.
19 Syrah, and we were going to wait, and then I looked at Taylor, and we were like, executive decision on what to open, and he chose that one. I don't know why. I don't know if it called to you. I don't know what happened.
It called to me, and I'm glad it did. It's beautiful. Thank you. It's a fun one to talk about, too.
Well,
I like to talk about the Syrah.
Well, welcome to Atlanta. We can talk about whatever you want. Welcome back to Atlanta, Sam.
I'm excited. I get to stay. I'm here for like 5 days, which is the longest stretch of Atlanta so far. So I'm excited to dig in a little bit.
Oh, I'm so pumped. Are we rolling, Franklin? Are we like live? Are we doing it? We're going.
Cold open. I love it.
I mean, I didn't know if we were rolling. Well, here's the issue. We're here with Sam Coturri. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You're 1/4 of the Winemakers podcast, and one of the things that you do or don't do is edit. So here at A Cork in the Road, we do edit, but Eric Crane sitting next to me told me that might be more of a loser situation.
I did not say that editing is a loser situation. I just said that I'm not going to edit.
Okay, and I don't
personally,
think...
no, unfined, unfiltered.
Who wants a filtered Eric Crane?
I do not.
Nobody wants
I
that.
like the real Eric Crane.
I think out of spirit of guest Sam Coturri crossover episode with Winemakers podcast, I don't think we should edit.
What percentage of that is philosophical versus editing kind of a pain in the ass?
It's more of a lifestyle choice for me.
The term that we coined, Franklin, on my first appearance on Kelly's podcast was minimal intervention podcasting.
That's true.
Yes.
Why get in the way of the flow? Just put it out there. It's better than not putting it out there. And we've edited when we have to, or like,
really,
when somebody stands up in the middle of the show and unplugs the machine, you have to splice it back together eventually. Those things happen. So
You're a technical editor. Well, I feel like we should just let it just see how it is today, because this is amazing. This is a pre-party live podcast episode. We are with the owner, the legend, the man behind the Vine Club, Taylor. Welcome to the podcast.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you. Thank you for having me in my own space on this podcast.
Thanks for letting me sit on my own couch.
I'm so happy we found you here.
yeah, excited to be here.
He lives upstairs. He's always here. It's great. But you're wearing tie-dye. We all are wearing tie-dye. I feel like this is a ceremonial moment. So cheers to tie-dye before the high. That's happening.
Tie-dye before the high.
Cheers. Wait, did we do that properly? Ding together.
Tie-dye before the high. Closer to the mic.
Closer.
We can always not
that's
edit.
it. That's
we
it.
can always not edit a sound in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect. I do feel very celebratory right now. We are in tie-dye. We're here at the Vine Club. Franklin back there is in honor of the Winemakers podcast. He's kind of our John. He's our John.
He's the John.
Yeah.
He's the John or the James or the no one, depending on the day.
James. He was your editor, or not, sorry, no editor. He was your producer for the direct-to-consumer marathon.
The direct-to-consumer marathon.
Yes.
That was a wild time. I learned a lot those 2 days. And then I got to go play golf with you, which was the highlight of the week.
Well, similarly, this seems to be a pattern. Yes. We're going to do this today, and then we're going to golf tomorrow. So this seems appropriate.
Just, working my way through life, working my way down the street, right, Eric?
Absolutely. You got to do it. No one else is going to golf for you.
No. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone either.
I mean, otherwise you're just walking around with a bunch of sticks hoping to hit stuff. Which gives you purpose.
Which, we've done in the country. Huh. We do that.
You're combining a lot of things, but I guess I should ask you kind of a philosophical question. Why are you here? Why are you here in Atlanta? What's going on?
Well, we're here for the High Museum wine event. And to be quite honest, seeing all of my friends coming down for that over the last few years was one of my like big motivators to getting into this market.
FOMO.
And total FOMO. It looks like such a cool thing. And, one of the things that we love to support is the arts in general, whether it's visual arts or performing arts or, culinary arts, we're an art driven brand. So it seemed like a good fit. And we're happy to bring the full force. I got my mom and dad on a plane landing at Hartsfield Jackson any minute. We got full court press. So
your mom's coming too?
My mom, the actual brains and boss of the whole operation, wheels down at about 5:00.
But that's a big deal at High Museum because I don't know how many father-son duos will be behind a table these next couple of days. This feels
it's
like a
really rad,
deal.
actually. It's super exciting.
It's my dad is amazing with these things because generally he's not like really good at it, but he loves talking to people. So, you just kind of like put him on the side of the table and you let him go. And then you actually make sure that people get wine in their glasses and we'll have a blast. We riff pretty hard off each other, and I'm merciless when it comes to making sure people know the real Phil Coturri. So we're gonna have a good time for sure.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people, but we're here tonight for this tie-dye party, and Taylor Vine Club, we're hosting this. Why are you letting us do this? What made you say yes?
What did we not do the first time that you let me back in?
I don't know. We had so much fun the first time, and it felt so natural. My best friend asked me yesterday, and then he remembered it was wine related. He was like, "Why are you doing a tie-dye party? That could be awful for your brand." And he was like, "Oh wait, it's a wine thing." And he goes, "Oh, that's awesome." And so it quickly changed into what a fun event that we get to do. We get to do whatever we want here, which is really fun. So tie-dye before the high was a no-brainer for me.
Cool.
And you have members that are up for whatever you create at this point.
I do have some members that are coming. I don't know if they're wearing tie-dye or that they know what they're in for sure.
Perfect.
But then my food partner's making food, so it'll be fun. We got a guy spinning records.
Oh, yeah. Shout out. This is an audio platform, but we're all going to wave to Austin in the bag. Hi, DJ Austin.
Sound of 4 people waving.
It's very loud. It's very loud.
We'll edit in the wave.
Edit in the wave.
We'll non-edit in the wave.
Add a little mega wave.
But one of the reasons that we found Austin is because of what you do at 16600 is the Vinyl Sundays, the big parties that y'all throw. And Austin is a magician with spinning vinyl. And so that's what we're doing tonight.
Well, and it's his like collection of all classic records and original pressings. And this guy's, I probably spend more time talking to Austin planning this party than I did even with you, Kelly. I kind of blew off the caterer a little bit. I figured you guys had that handled. But I had a good 45-minute conversation with Austin about music. So I'm excited.
How much of that conversation actually dealt with this event tonight, or was it just a conversation on music and oh yeah, we have to keep coming back to tonight's event?
It was like a first date. You gotta feel each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then eventually we worked our way around to the event.
Classic.
Yeah. I've
first
seen him 3
date
times.
with vinyl.
Yeah, this is his 3rd time being here. So Austin.
Oh, Austin is familiar with the space, and you obviously have a bond already with your new best friend, Austin, which is great. But it doesn't surprise me that your wine connection, your wine events that we're doing here deal with music, because I'm sitting with both of you, and the last time I saw you both in a room was an entire dinner themed after the Grateful Dead. So I'm not surprised for 1 second that music was the priority here tonight, Sam.
Spoiler alert, pretty much every dinner is somehow associated with the Grateful Dead in some way, shape, or form.
Whether you know it or
I would
not.
say waking, breathing, sleeping. Oh, sorry, that's just me as a deadhead. It's no editing. But yeah, that was a fantastic night.
Yeah, that was great. We got a little rain. We got the whole August in Atlanta. It was beautiful.
Classic.
Live music
live
during
music.
the dinner.
That music, those guys were really good too.
They were so good. And the menu was themed Grateful Dead. And then what I loved, as the wine geek in me, I was watching the pairings and I got excited because there were so many red wines with fish entrees.
Red wine and fish was that was a mind-blowing menu. Are we going to do that again, Eric?
I sure hope so.
Okay.
How did that come out? I feel like I've heard that there was a whispering of potentially an iconic restaurant was involved in this creation of this idea. Did you have a meeting?
We were having breakfast at Homegrown.
That's it. That's the iconic.
Right, yeah,
That's when we try to see if Kevin would throw something together, but Homegrown's breakfast lunch joint.
Right.
And as we were discussed permitting and getting everything involved to have an alcoholic event for a place without an alcoholic license. And even though it is the foundation of all that is good, we decided to pivot to another place. It's easy to find deadheads in our industry. There's a lot of us.
Right. We always seem to find each other. There's some sort of like hydrophilic,
right? Or they shove us in a corner and hope we don't talk to anyone else.
There you go.
Well, I was then happy to be at that dinner. Thanks for welcoming me into that community. Appreciate that because I was
Blast.
there.
Yeah,
It's a good community.
I think that's exactly the point of all of this for me is the community side of it. I don't know where I was saying this. Oh, we did a little talk in a restaurant in Sonoma a couple weeks ago. And, we're in the DTC business as much as we love to come out and work with great wholesale partners and get the wine into the market. Really what we do is sell wine directly to consumer. But I think early on, it wasn't conscious, but I think early on it was a direct to community. And it was like, how do you build a brand? You build a community around it and then let that community build the brand. So Vinyl Sunday, the tie-dye, we seeded that, but the way that people all over the country now are building on it is what makes it work.
And direct to consumer community, I see that with your brand too. And I am sitting next to your distributor. Can you tell me how the distribution partnership came to be? How did you end up in Atlanta?
Here's how it happened.
Foundation of all that is good.
Foundation of all that is good. So like 20 years or so ago, right around 20, maybe 21, a couple of decades ago. Sorry, I don't have to get exact. Let me get my calendar.
We're not editing it. It doesn't matter.
It's my past 20 years plan. So I was having dinner at my home, and this fellow by the name of Paul White was there, who was working with my wife. And we got to talking about different things, and we got to talking about wines. And then I put on some music, and that music was the Grateful Dead. And Paul White went, I like these guys. And I said, well, I like these guys too. And there was a chef there by the name of Steve. And Steve said, I also like them. And then for the next, the rest of our lives, we didn't talk about anything else. And that conversation had a small blip a couple of years ago where Paul took pause and said, oh yeah, by the way, I've got a brand I'd love to distribute in Georgia. And I said, I'm not finished telling the song yet about the story yet about the Grateful Dead. And he goes, no, really, I've got these wines. And then that kind of worked its way into the conversation. And that's where we're here now. But it all started with
as simple as that.
It all started with me putting on RFK 73 June 10th, and it's a great show. Yeah. And Paul going, oh man, I really like this one, and it just kind of, and that's why you're in Georgia.
That's why I'm in Georgia.
What's it been like to see your wines in Georgia since that magical connection happened?
For me, like all the stuff that we do and the social media and the branding and the cool labels and pictures and tie-dye, none of that matters unless the people have wine in their glasses and are enjoying the wine in their glasses and like it. So, any chance that we have to do that, to see people drinking the wine, to tell them a little bit of our story, or they can taste a little bit of our story through the wine. Our mission is furthered. And this has been a super receptive community to what we're doing and the wines that we're making and the story that we're weaving. So it's been a blast.
Eric, what do you like about these wines? Why do you like 16600?
Authenticity, real people making real wines from real places. I remember Paul told me that like the largest production you have on any of your wines is just drops of wine at the end of the day.
Totally.
And the fact that you're only working with sites that you have a relationship with firsthand to the soil itself, that also checks a lot of boxes for me. Anyone can make anything that anyone can sell. It's when someone makes something and they are focused on making that, those are the fun things to sell. And the wines always make me happy.
Do you see that when I'm looking at Taylor because he presents all kinds of wines. And I think at the heart of that community aspect, what's it been like to share authentic wines with your membership?
It's so much easier. When I think of your wines, I think of the story, right? And getting to tell the story of how we met and these wines is so easy to do. These wines, although I don't sell them yet, I need to. I don't know why I'm not.
I think there'll be some people here.
Yeah, we could fix that, right? As I drink this Grenache of rosé, which is stunning.
Thank you.
These are easy things to sell. Like I said, when you can attach a story to something, and something so specific as everyone that I've met from the winery has in common, which is this love for music and the Grateful Dead. I was sad Paul wasn't going to be here. I asked Kelly earlier. That guy is the absolute man.
He is the man.
But telling people about the wines and who makes them and who's a part of it is really cool. I'm looking forward to meeting your father and your mother later.
It'll all make sense when they walk in the room. It all sort of coalesces.
Yeah.
But you get to do that. People are coming to this club and a lot of things that are happening in Atlanta. It is about people being the communicators of these people that are making the wines. And so you're literally wearing matching t-shirts right now. Are you wearing matching hats? No, not quite.
That's why I do wine. I could only pack so many hats,
Twinning over there. And I think that that's really cool because you have a connection to Sam and you're going to meet his family. And then you get to help other people understand the wines that way at a place like this. How cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. So what I tell people is I did this before I owned a wine club. My house was this. So I love entertaining. I love sharing wines. I don't get to grill as much here. We are about to get a smoker next door though. So I'll be able to get on that. But I love this entertaining and the conversation and connection that comes with it. I look at wine as a vessel of communication. Now it's a delicious vessel, but a vessel at that. And it loosens people up and really allows you to have connection that normally wouldn't come, I don't think. And I look at this place as I look up, and it's an extension of my living room. And I love that about it. I think most people feel that way when they're here. We said earlier, it's one of the loungiest places that you can.
We're lounging pretty hard at the moment.
Yeah.
We're on couches doing
We're
a
kind of
podcast.
lounging in couches, and this is checking all my boxes.
And I have a circular pillow up against me. And it's, this place is fun, I think, at the end of the day. And the fact that I get to work here is pretty crazy.
What is it about Atlanta that is sort of like allowing the wine club model to flourish the way it seems like it is? You don't see this in other places, and it's one of the things that I think intrigues me about this market so much is there's people who are as into it as the industry folks are, and to join a club and have these memberships and stuff. This is for all of you. Like, what is like the
traffic,
the fertile ground?
In Atlanta, traffic. You don't want to keep driving from place to place, and most of our wine clubs are pretty well spread out, so they really service the community, the neighborhood that's right there. And I don't have to drive across town to go to some club over there when there's one that opened up around the corner from me. That's one of my weird little theories about why they're all successful, because they're spread out far enough. You have an area where you have a bunch of package stores on the same street. They all go out of business. It's sort of a different version of that, only it's wine, so it's cooler.
Well, Taylor started his business in this business, so why did you do that, Taylor?
So I used to live in Dallas, Texas for 6 years. That's where I really fell in love with wine. And now there's 6 of these in Dallas, but I couldn't figure out why there wasn't one in Atlanta. Where I knew I had this opportunity. It felt like a thing that Atlanta wanted, but didn't know they wanted, right?
Exactly.
So someone had to be crazy enough to put one in a dare park, first of all. But like you mentioned, there's a lot of people sitting in traffic. I'm looking at 20 right now above us. But it's just something so different than the normal experience, and making friends in this place where they become wine club friends, but then they become your best friends, because it's so much more personable than going to a wine bar or the same restaurant over and over.
Right.
So we do food here, but we change the menu every month with the food. So it's this constant changing of everything, but the consistent thing is the club itself. So the wine's changing, the food's changing, the faces may be somewhat changing, but the consistency is where you are, which is really fun. And we're surrounded by incredible culinary talents, which is a really fun thing for me. I look at myself as a sports GM where I can't play really well. I can't play ball really well, but I can bring the best talent around me. And that's what we do for culinary, adventures.
Sign those contracts.
Yeah.
Smart.
And I can't afford it either, though. I can't pay all these contracts.
I do remember when he first
With
reached
the owner's money, exactly.
Yeah.
when Taylor first reached out to me, what he was doing, it was really interesting because I saw a very strategic communication effort with people who he was excited about meeting in the Atlanta wine community because he moved here, like you said, from Texas, but he immediately was connecting with people, and that's how you were navigating learning about wine, was the people first. And it made a lot of sense that you were creating a space that was people first. And when I come into a place like this, they're sharing their wines with these people that also love wine. That's what I see happening here.
It's in their membership agreement, though. They have to.
Oh, they have to share.
They have to at least share with you, right?
sharing.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important, right? I got to try some crazy wines in Dallas. I think of a 1961 Mouton I got to try at 4 a.m. because one of my friends had it open. And if you don't make it mandatory to share, some people are kind of standoffish.
So that you're real.
It's in the agreement.
No way.
I'm allowed to come and pour your wine for anyone in here, and then I will bring you a tasting of their wine.
That's cool.
That is something we definitely do, and it's so important because it gets people talking and interacting as well. Who knows what they're drinking? You may have never tried that wine.
And it's not even necessarily at those moments about the unicorn, trophies. It's about the things you've never had before, right?
Yeah,
For real.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
One of,
Eric just poured me. He just shared with me. Thanks for going by you just followed the rules. Thank you for sharing what was open.
You pointed at your empty glass and you scowled at me and then you pointed at the bottle.
I smiled
Y'all aren't
at
seeing
you.
this on the podcast. She's just seeing it all community. And I'm over here. Was it full enough for you, Kelly? Should I give you an ice cube?
I smiled at you and pointed. Let me correct you.
One man's smile is another woman's scowl. So one of my favorite restaurant corkage programs in the country is in Chicago in a restaurant group. To your point, if you bring in a bottle of wine, they don't charge you for corkage. You just have to share a glass of that bottle with another table.
I love that.
And I'm all on board for that. Like I want to take bottles of wine in there just to randomly share with people.
Totally.
And like taking really bad wines and watch them choke it down.
Here, have this. It's my favorite.
You look like the people in the room I don't like. Here you go. No. I'm just joking. But I love just that wine is meant to be shared. It's meant to wash down your food. It's meant to be shared. And enjoying wine with people is just so cool. So hearing that just makes me so happy, man.
There's
awesome.
like a unspoken rule, unwritten rule, unspoken in wine country, that if you're at a restaurant and you see a fellow winemaker, sitting down at the other end, another table across the way, that at some point through the course of that meal, you'll grab an empty glass in the bottle and go pour them a splash and see what they have on their table, and they'll pour you it just happened. And it's not even, it's not forced, but it's just like the way, because, especially with the winemakers, either you're drinking something cool of your own or you're drinking something that, inspires you in some way. I'm thinking about,
So if I'm in wine country and I'm having lunch with a winemaker and they point out other winemakers in the dining room, but no one brings us anything, that means I'm not with a very liked winemaker.
you were at lunch. Times have changed. It was lunch. You got to be at dinner.
Different?
You got to be at dinner.
Okay, all right.
Unless everybody's spitting.
I just want to know the intel. I just want to know the intel, so I realize.
I mean, I guess if there was somebody I didn't like, I would keep my bottle to myself.
You
but
like everyone.
I like everyone. Look, if you have chosen this life, there's something that, over like a normal one, success, productive one, profitable one. There's probably something I like about you.
You are sharing a lot, though. Just being in Sonoma County, you're sharing. I see you drink a lot of your neighbors' wines. That's the whole point of your podcast, is sharing people who are doing cool things. So you're sharing, and we don't have vineyards in our backyard, so maybe there's this cultivating that community sharing of finding your people. It's an automatic that people that are members of a club like this are gonna want to drink a wine with you. Like that's an automatic in.
No, I'm sure it feels supernatural when that happens at this point.
Looking at the bar, this feels really natural, yes. When
there's like 25, 30 bottles.
It seems supernatural.
Do we have enough? I don't know if we have enough. Do we have enough?
We opened one of the magnums already, Sam.
We did.
That's cool.
Can't say that about many other vineyards on the planet that they're farmed by the same person organically for 4 decades. And it's also, I love making that wine. It's the one with the secret Viognier skins at crush. So a lot of fun things about that one. Also, like the first vineyard that I ate solid food, I believe, was the Dos Limones vineyard.
Telling me that. That's great.
They like squeezed a Pinot Noir grape into I would have been 4 months old, probably 5 months old, by the harvest of 1983.
So what I'm hearing is we can't drink it all. We have to save some for your dad when he gets here. He has to try this, is what I'm hearing.
He's had it before.
He's had it every day for 40 years.
He'll be fine. I started there in 78. You're telling the story wrong.
I have more blisters from that vineyard than anywhere else on the planet. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like we can finish it off, so it's fine.
Done.
But then I wanted to surprise you. I went into my little closet, my little wine closet, and I saw that I had this rosé, and you didn't know that I was bringing this, but I also don't know if Eric or Taylor has had the Auditet rosé before. So tell me what makes it so special.
Yeah,
what's in our glasses here?
Yeah, this is the rosé that we make in collaboration with Isabelle Gassier and with the late Philippe Combi of the Southern Rhone, the god of Grenache. So this is this 18, 19, 21, 22. So this is the 4th edition of this wine. And it is the most sort of like intensive way you could possibly make rosé, I think. I mean, maybe we could find something more, but we do like 4 to 6 hours of like skin contact maceration. 22, I may have done some foot stomping just, to keep my hipster card active and valid. And, like the 4 hours and then press it off. Isabel has come up with this really like intensive press protocol where we, if you're familiar with distilling, you'd like take the heads and the tails. So we take the heads and the tails and we put them from the press into one tank, and then sort of the heart of it into another tank. Begin fermentation, and at about halfway, barrel down half of it, so it finishes fermentation in once used or neutral barrels, and then oak is aged in neutral barrels for 8 months. We're about to bottle the 2024 when I get home next week.
But it's not that much production, or like
no, I think we made 60 cases of it or something. The entire Auditet line is 120 cases of each wine or less, and it's the opposite of I called it high intervention winemaking to one reporter, one writer, and not that we like are doing all sorts of chemical intervention and mega purple and stuff. It's just Philippe and Isabel put together a really, really demanding winemaking protocol for the Auditet program that is definitely more intensive than anything we had ever done with 16600. Sort of to the point of it, has informed our winemaking with 16600, and we take little pieces of, extended cold soak at the beginning of fermentation, the importance of non-alcoholic extraction, the peaks and valleys of tannic reactivity as you're, watching your wine ferment. So learned a lot from Philippe and Isabel, and, to have that sort of, lineage and pedigree to help us make our wine better is pretty awesome. So that's the Auditet is special because it's the beginning of that relationship.
I wanted to bring it because it's 75 degrees Fahrenheit in Atlanta. I felt like we can kick off some rosé season. Yeah.
It's colder, much colder in Sonoma this week. So
I'm sure. Yeah.
No, it's one of those rare weeks where the weather in Sonoma is worse than wherever else you could be in the country.
I think I'm gonna wear a tank top at golf tomorrow, Sam. Like I think it's warm enough.
I brought like cold weather golf clothes. I've miscalculated entirely. So
you'll just be really sweaty. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be wonderful. But I also feel like the rosé is really fun to have because it's just a different vibrancy to it. Like it goes at a different octane for me. But last time you were here on these couches at Vine Club, we had a live audience, and one of our guests, Henna Bakshi, she's a writer, so of course her mind is on beautiful things about these wines, and she asked you such a fun question about, hey Sam, what does this wine sound like? She asked you to put a sound to one of your wines. And so I'm going to throw it at you with this rosé. Like, what does this rosé sound like?
I don't know. It must have been the roses. Right?
Solid.
It's, you know, it's
solid.
It's
yeah, but what year? What time frame? Those 80 acoustic shows?
No, it's not acoustic. It's definitely more electric than that. I want to give it like an 88. You know, with a little Brent in the harmony. You know, it's got that grit from that skin contact. A little of those Grenache tannins that make its way through. I love talking about the Audictai Rosé as sort of rosé in name only because it has, you know, it's made like white wine.
Grip, yeah,
and it also kind of has the texture of red wine. If you closed your eyes, you could say this is, you know, a chilled red. So yeah, something really pretty, but with a little more like electric gritty edge. So like an 88 roses.
Eric Crane, do you agree or disagree? Do you have another option?
He's going to come
I'm
with
not
something.
going to tell the winemaker he's wrong this time. I would think more of those like kind of bouncy funk driven, they love each other's.
Oh, okay. Like a 73, the up-tempo ones. All right.
Yeah. Where Jerry's changing the words around a little bit here and there.
Or forgetting them, yeah.
And with roses, I would think like late 70s versions.
Okay.
Where, again, there's kind of that punch to it.
Yeah, totally.
Where you have the dook-a-dook-a-dook, like Bobby and Jerry playing with each other.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that sound means, but it made a lot of sense in my head.
No, I think you nailed it.
Was Shakedown Street, is that a...
That was a Shakedown Street that I went with last time? Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Totally.
the Syrah was that. And
It's got that, like, disco thing.
You didn't hesitate at all. Like, that came to you immediately, and we were all like, yeah. And then I was playing it later that day, thinking back to the wine. I was like, Sam was right. Sam was right the whole time. So nailed it. But I think thinking about your music connection, it's no surprise that that might be a really fun way to think about describing these wines to people. I mean, you just had an argument with Eric Crane about this.
Oh, we had a friendly debate.
Changed his mind.
Hearts and minds. We take our wine super seriously, at least the making of it. But you know, I think you're doing that a little bit here too. Is we have to make it more accessible, serious wine to people who don't have the, you know, cassis and eucalyptus vocabulary of the way, you know, we classically are trained to talk about wine and evaluate wine. You know, so is it music? Is it just color and texture? Is it, you know, a memory of a 5th grade class? Like whatever a wine can evoke in someone is, you know, not only do we have to, like, as wine professionals, obviously accept that. I think we need to encourage that and build that up of, like, whatever a wine does for you, if you can identify that it does something for you, you're on the track that, you know, we need you on as a wine industry, right?
Sure.
Well, you make wine, but you also talk about wine. I mean, the podcast is intertwined with everything that 16600 does, everything that Dane Sellers does. It's part of you all talking about wine in a way to reach more audiences. And I think that's what's really fun about the podcast world. Why is it important for you to keep doing the podcast in addition to making wine?
I mean, selfishly, I love talking into microphones.
Not singing.
Not,
or maybe singing.
Not singing. No singing. No, don't sing. We'll be less of good friends if you hear me sing. You'll judge me hard. For all of my musical knowledge, I'm totally tone deaf. No, I you know, grew up doing theater and improv comedy and, you know, did stand up in college in my 20s. And so there is, like, this need to sort of bring that artistic side of, you know, the creative side of, you know, I try and tell jokes every second I get on the podcast, whether I should or shouldn't. But just to, like, kind of keep that part of my brain firing is super important and to, like, you know, satisfy those creative urges. But the other piece of it is that, you know, there's so many great stories that are still being told and so many, you know, interesting young winemakers coming out of, you know, the cellar assistant job and came up with, you know, some fun way to do something else or found a vineyard or, you know, I think about, like, the Bird Horse wines with Katie and the stuff they were doing with, like, the giant bag that they're rolling around in and just, like, this is the stuff that is going to keep pushing all of wine forward. There's a lot of old stories that have been told over and over again, and I'm keep looking for the new ones, and they keep coming.
That's such a good episode. I feel like you didn't say bird horse correctly until
the entire
like,
time.
Maybe the entire
Birdhouse, bard horse, But you know what? You remembered it, right?
I remembered it. Yeah. It was wonderful. Do we know him?
Do we know him?
I don't.
Taylor?
I don't, but he has Grateful Dead gear on.
He's clearly a friend of ours.
Maybe he's here for the party.
I believe so, but it sometimes directs you GPS over here
to the front
as
side
opposed
of the
to the other way around.
I love that people will be approaching for the party, but we're doing a pre-party podcast. So if he's a fan of Grateful Dead, I feel like that's
he knew that the real scene was in the parking lot before the show. That's what he's here for.
Yeah, he's looking for shakedown still.
Totally.
It's all right. He's going to smoke a cigarette and think about it for a little bit.
Yeah, he's just trying to get his head together before the electric set.
Totally.
It's gonna be, I get it.
Right. He's got to hold on to the railing at set break for a second.
Yeah, he's having an inner ear hallucination.
I am sitting here smiling because I'm with some of my favorite people, but we have Sam, who's here for a very long time, relatively, in Atlanta, and Eric, who's kind of the one person that I go to for what's happening in Atlanta wine anyway. And so I'm going to take a moment to ask Eric, going into High Museum Week with a lot of people in town, what's the wine scene in Atlanta like right now? What's morale like? How are we doing?
This is one of my favorite times of year. This is a really, really big event. So they began the auction in the 90s, and it's one of the top 10 auctions in the country in terms of a auction fundraising event. This one goes for the art, so it's for the high, and then it also helps with art here in the Atlanta area. But you have so many winemakers in town. You have so many owners. You have the most important people in the wine industry all just sitting on Atlanta for this fun little weekend. And so I just love the energy that happens here. We the community kind of gets to come together as friends more so than competitors, and we really get to promote each other and promote wine as a whole, which is the core value, or it should be, for our industry, to promote wine. We lift all ships. It's not this winery or that winery. It's all winery and that focused effort. And then Saturday with the big event, that's a lot of fun, but it just creates a buzz. And there are certain producers who have come here so regularly and so consistently over time that they've kind of turned our city into a brand extension for them, where this California winemaker, or maybe winemakers from anywhere in the world, that have been here enough and are so embraced by the community that it's sort of like having a friend show back up. So I love this week. It's one of the most exciting times. It's a great chance to be sitting in a bar and look over and realize, oh crap, I'm sitting next to a winemaker. Hopefully they'll share with me. But I guess that's only at lunch, right? Not dinner.
As long as
But it depends on who you're with too.
Right.
I always choose poorly. But
well, also maybe what you were drinking they didn't want, right? Because there's that piece of it. You're like, oh, I go over there and then I have
always
to
put what you're drinking in a dummy bottle. It keeps the greedy people away. Are you drinking?
No,
No.
That's weird. Why is he drinking?
Yeah. Wow. I never knew 61 Mouton looked like that out of that bottle. But it's just an exciting time. There's just a whole lot of people in town, and I see it as a time of excitement. I see it where all of these primaries are coming to town, so we should be on our best behavior to make sure they have the best time possible.
Oh no.
Well, maybe our most fun behavior.
Yeah, except for tonight.
My best behavior isn't necessarily my best behavior is me being myself. That's me being my best. That's how I'll behave. Everyone should be, I don't know, no one should be behaving like me necessarily. Everyone should be their best version of themselves to make other people happy when they come to Atlanta. In a convoluted way. No editing.
I describe it as the Super Bowl week for the wine industry.
For sure.
It's so much fun. We have 4 events here this week. Like it's the best. And we get to start with this. Like hopefully we do this every year. I'm looking at you, Sam.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Because it's just
if he misses the tea time, we're not doing this
if I don't
again.
make it to 8:40 in Rivermont tomorrow morning, then it's off.
It's off. No more. Done. Cancel.
8:40 is reasonable.
Yeah, I'll be fine. Coffee's for.
Yeah, but it should be a really fun week. The industry tasting is always a blast. Thursday, I think it is.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, so many people in town for wine at one time. Like, it's so much fun.
Okay, well, I'm sitting with 3 people who love wine, so I'm gonna ask all of you. We're gonna go around. We're gonna do a little round robin situation because I'm thinking about, yes, this is a very key moment for Atlanta wine. It always has been. Since I moved here, this was always the biggest weekend for Atlanta wine, and it keeps getting bigger in terms of the buzz about it. But why is wine important right now? In the context of the things that are happening in 2025 in our lives and people's societies, all of the things, why is wine important to you? Eric, I'm sorry with you. Why do you get up in the morning and still talk about wine?
It grows out of planet Earth, and you don't have to do a whole lot of things to it, and it washes down your food pretty well. And after 3 or 4 glasses, you're a better dancer.
That's important.
It helps to take the edge off of a really bad day. No, it's a holistic thing. It's anything that can grow out of the planet that you don't have to do a whole lot of things to, and it's delicious. That's a pretty cool place to be. So why not support something like that? It gives us oxygen and a good time. Those are like all the hippy dippy ways of putting it. It's delicious, and I just love the stuff. But to me, it's something that saves the planet, and it encourages a good time. Hard not to fall in love with the same thing doing those 2 things.
That's fair. Sam, you're nodding. You're like, yes. Are you nodding about the dancing?
Yes. And it even makes my singing slightly better. No, wine is food. And that's, so ingrained in the culture, the family that I grew up in, and the people that I grew up around. This is an extension of all the agriculture that we do in Sonoma County. I was super outspoken during the most recent election, about lots of things, but one was a ballot measure in Sonoma County it was about, they said it was about factory farming. Really, it was about trying to end animal agriculture in Sonoma County. And the wine industry came to the defense of the cattle and the duck and the chicken industry. Why? Because we're all in this together. Their compost, their manure is our compost. When they're trying to, when Jen Reichard and Jim Reichard are selling duck, it's about the wines that it pairs with. There's this symbiotic nature, and I talk about this a lot. Oh, my dad's calling. It means he's landed.
Is he in Atlanta? That means he's the eagle has landed. He's here.
Live on the show. No, let me finish my thought. I'll call him back. But in biodynamics, you're supposed to create a closed loop system in your farm, and that anything that you need on your farm, you produce on your farm. And that's not realistic in most of the real world. So instead, what you try and create is a patchwork of good farming that, spreads across your region. So, so that when you need manure, you go to the cattle ranchers or the dairymen, and, when you need chickens to, you want chickens to run in your farm, or sheep to run in your, to graze in your vineyard, there's somebody there who's doing that. So, wine is part of the, the foodscape. Wine is food. That's, why it still matters.
And you see it every day because you're driving in Sonoma County where the food is happening and the wine is happening synergistically right next door. You see it every day.
And it's the people who grow the greatest vegetables are also growing great grapes. And the people, who the chefs who appreciate them are sourcing them, from the places that are down the street from their restaurants. It's the way it's supposed to work in an agricultural system is how it's working in Sonoma County. And anything that we can do, whether it's, buying your beef from Stemple Creek, or, buying your wine or your ducks from, Liberty, or your wine from a cool producer in Sonoma that helps support that agricultural community is so important now and always.
Love that. We have the agriculture here in Georgia for our restaurants and things like that. So I think people can understand that from the collaborative way of supporting each other. That's so cool. Now I want some duck with your Syrah.
I know
It's fine. Everything's great.
I think that's probably why that example kept popping into my head. I'm like, mad props to Jen and what her and her family do. But yeah, this Syrah would be really
With
good
the
with like a
2019
seared
Syrah.
seared duck breast, the sliced thin, all crispy on the top.
do it.
All right, where's the kitchen?
Maybe Bovino has some duck chow. I don't know. I don't know what the menu is. Maybe we'll get lucky. I don't know.
It's a complete surprise.
But Taylor, why is wine important to you?
Well, first things first. Go to Avi's if you're in town for duck. They have the best duck in the city.
Okay. Well,
This
I'm
would be
looking for a
great.
dinner tomorrow night, so I gotta figure something out.
They dry age their own duck in house. It's incredible. Wine to me is one. I think the biggest thing, no matter what, is I enjoy drinking it, obviously, but it is the community and the people that I meet is so fun to me. Whether it's some of my best friends that are here, or newer friends. And when I get to
We're
travel,
wearing matching shirts, man. We're best
Yeah.
friends now.
That is true. That's true.
Two best friends that anybody could have.
But to me, it goes back to like terroir, it's sense of place. Like wine gives me a sense of place, which is really fun. I think about it all day, every day, and I get to do it for a living now, which is crazy to me. The world lets me do this.
Yeah.
But
isn't that wild?
Welcome to the party, Taylor.
I do this shit for free.
Don't tell anyone else.
Yeah. Secrets out. But yeah, the sense of community and getting to share this with the world is really fun. No matter, and I say world because when I travel, I know people almost everywhere now, which is a wild thing to think about, right?
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Because wine's grown almost everywhere in the world, which is really fun. I don't even know if that answers the question, but it's a love letter to wine.
What does it mean to you, Kelly?
I was hoping you guys weren't going to ask me because I don't have a full
I
answer.
have to ask you. What are you talking
This
about?
is actually okay.
It's our only editing.
Are we going to use AI to make an answer? I don't know. We'll just type in, why is wine important? We'll see what happens.
Agricultural intelligence.
But I've been thinking about it actually since my last trip to California in January, this conference, which was all about direct to consumer, thinking about audiences and getting wine out in the world and distribution and how that works. I've been thinking about it a while of like, there's so many other priorities in people's lives, but wine continues to be a major importance in my life. And it's not, the beverage is delicious. I love to drink it, but it has offered me so many connections to people. And I don't know what I would do without the connections to people, to places, to the traveling experiences, the memories. I have kind of a bad memory. So for me, when it's attached to wine and it activates a smell and a taste, I tend to remember those things better. It's kind of weird. That's a long story, but it does help me store these very important moments with people. And so I think that for me, it's bigger than just the beverage. It's the travel, the experiences, the memories with people I care about. So I don't know if that translates to everybody. If you haven't had those wine moments, I don't know how to convince people that wine will bring that to you. But I do think that it is continually something that brings something extra into my life. And that's just like a very personal thing. I don't know society wise. I'm going to have to think on that of like, what's bigger? There was a podcast by Wine Blast, Susie and Peter. Do you know them from the podcast
I don't really
world?
listen to podcasts.
You don't listen to them? I listen to theirs and the Winemakers. So there you go. Wine Blast. They had a whole episode that I think was even titled like, why is wine important? And I've been challenging myself to think about it. So now I think it's important to talk about that with people who are in wine. So we can kind of get this narrative of like, what are we doing? How can we help each other? Why is it important? Why does it continue to be important? Because we all intuitively know it is. So that's something I'm working on societally wise. How is it more important? How can I talk about that? But for me, it's really important to my people and my memories. So yeah.
The smell memory connection is super fascinating. They say that like your sense of smell is the most of all, your five senses, the most directly tied to, or like strongly tied to memories. And, so obviously, and you guys are, I see it all the time doing all these blind tastings and that's totally about smell memory, but it's when wine because it can smell like so many different things, because it doesn't just smell like grapes and it can evoke memories of time spent in a tasting room in Sonoma, or, on a beach with a bag of oysters, or, again, like the incense that your fifth grade, the candle that your fifth grade teacher burned in the classroom, or whatever it was. That I think that's how we bring people in, is letting them, again, free associate with what this all means. Just kind of break some of those barriers down.
You're looking at a former SmackDown Atlanta champion over
He's
here, Eric
seen
Crane.
the gold belt and the whole thing, man.
I aspire to own the belt one day, maybe someday. Eric has achieved that honor and has taken. Did you take it anywhere? Did you take the belt with you?
How many shows did you take the belt to, Eric?
Just a world tour.
I mean, one, it doesn't travel well. And I mean, it's a really nice belt.
Holding it above your head at a King Gizzard Wizard Lizard show? You were.
I did not take it to a King Giz show. It sat in my office for a while. 1 year, another year, it sat in my kitchen. I brought it home and my wife stuck it up on the wall somewhere. It was next to Thanos. We have a Thanos in the fridge, or not in the fridge. Never keep your Thanos refrigerated. He's not. Thanos is a lot like mustard. Excuse me. But the belt was next to Thanos, and Thanos has recently been replaced with Boba Fett. Our kitchen is a place where we cook food, I guess. And then sometimes things end up there, like Thanos, non-refrigerated mustard, non-refrigerated Thanos.
Are you serious about this mustard? Let's talk about this mustard thing, actually. I want to talk more about the don't refrigerate your mustard.
People say not to refrigerate your mustard. I just
pretty acidic.
I just throw Thanos into that conversation as well, because why not?
Do you refrigerate your eggs?
Living in America, we have to. If I lived in Europe, I wouldn't have to. But I mean, I'm not. If you're trying to get me to humble brag to see if I own any eggs right now, I don't think this is what the podcast is about, to see who can afford eggs. It's I'm having an existential crisis. When you ask me a question about something like that, that's like, do you refrigerate your Ferrari?
Ferrari Carano Pinot Grigio. Yeah.
No, I stick that in the freezer, and that's a true story, but it was Sauvignon Blanc, and that happened in 1999. I was going to work with a rep from Ferrari Carano. This is my first year in distribution, and I realized at the last minute I had not put this wine in the fridge, so I threw it in the freezer and I forgot about it. And then when I got home, we had Ferrari Carano Fumé Blanc slushies throughout the entire thing. So if you want a popsicle, just scoop. It was real nice.
It's probably delicious.
It was.
Yeah. Wait, did you just mention Sauvignon Blanc? Because that is now. I want to say this to Eric Crane for the podcast, for recording, that is now my official pre-concert beverage.
Sauvignon Blanc races. Hashtag
races. Yes. Okay. Sauvignon Blanc races.
Yeah, drink a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc before your next show, Sam. Life will be sublime. It's like chanting the Maha Mantra.
Is that what we're going to drink when we tailgate this summer?
This summer coming up, Dave Matthews Band in Atlanta, we will probably have Sauvignon Blanc for sure.
Does Dave's winery make Sauvignon Blanc that you can pregame the show with?
Not from the Virginia one. I'll have to look at the Dreaming Tree portfolio, but I will say that their Albarino right now is pretty killer. So maybe would that be okay?
Albarino
Eric?
would be it's not my rule.
You live your life. Let your fancy flow. I don't want you to ever think that you're going to do something that makes you happy, concerned that I would be unhappy for your happiness, because that's not the case. If it makes you happy, then Cheryl Crow it. It's go for it, Kelly. You're pretty awesome. Yeah. Don't get hung up on me being like, it wasn't Sauvignon Blanc. I'm not gonna Debbie down it, but I won't Debbie down a situation where someone's having a good time. I can't believe they're having so much fun. I'm not gonna go Albarino OMG. Can you believe that she drank this? That's not gonna happen.
That's all I'm gonna think about now. The Dave Matthews concert, thank you, was that I didn't have Sauvignon Blanc, but we will come up with something. They are here. And honestly, that venue in Atlanta, I guess it's technically, what is it? Alpharetta? Yes.
I haven't been to this venue. This would be my sixth show in Atlanta, seeing him. Never seen him up north.
What's the venue?
Here's a fun fact. Alpharetta is the only city in the United States of America that is named Alpharetta, so Alpharetta, Georgia. So if you're ever Googling anything and you're looking for a local version of it, just always throw Alpharetta into the search. and it happens just north of Atlanta. But it's a great little venue.
What's it
12,000 seats.
called? I forget what it's called.
It
even.
depends on whoever-
Amerispank. Amerispank
That's
Amphitheater.
the current sponsor of it. It's had a couple of different names.
The amphitheater is so great, and you can
The
sit out in
sound's
the
amazing.
parking lot for a tailgate before. So we'll do that, and then it's a wonderful place to hear a show. So. I'm excited about that, but
Me too.
We're going to find some Sauv Blanc in honor of Eric Crane for concerts. But yeah, we have some guests that are wandering outside. What are you looking forward to tonight for this party, Sam? For Tie-Dye Before the High, what should we be excited about?
I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of smiling faces, people having a good time, seeing friends laughing at each other because they'd never imagined they'd see their friend wearing a tie-dye t-shirt, and sharing some good wine. I got I brought the new EV Red Blend. Got this Magnum party and pop some bottles and tell some stories. Get my father off the street somehow. It's gonna be great.
Is he okay? Is he en route?
Yeah, they're waiting for their bags.
Okay, and then they're coming right from the airport to the party.
Right from the airport to the party.
Classic.
Luckily, it's 15 minutes away.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's-
Thank you for having
Another
a-
reason why we put it here, in case you're close to the airport, this is your wine club.
Yeah, it's closer. Yeah, it's just.
I might
it
have to
all works
join
out.
me.
Yeah.
What is the membership like?
You are welcome here for any membership, Sam. You are an honorary member of the Atlanta wine community at this point.
100%.
We are so lucky to have you. And then Austin's over there ready to play some amazing music for us. Hi, Austin.
You're
How
not
you
waiting
doing?
because we're recording, are you? To turn it up?
Let's try.
It's
What
on a real microphone.
Can you
You
play
can't
us
hear
some,
me.
play us something? He did tell me that all of the records tonight are 100% Georgia artists.
That was my the music that he's playing. I was following him on Instagram and seeing the other gigs that he's done and the sort of range of genres that are in his collection. My only stipulation was I want the music to have the local terroir. So I wanted Georgia music that has some sort of
Ray
Georgia.
Stevens, look out.
Yeah, Georgia connection, Georgia roots somehow. So I have no idea what he's going to play, but I'm looking forward to it.
But he was like, "Hell yes, I've got this."
Oh, yeah, totally. That was why we spent 45 minutes on the phone talking about all these different artists that have Georgia connections, and somebody who recorded it. No, what's in Macon? That's
Oh, in Macon, Georgia, yes.
the
Capricorn.
that where the Allman Brothers came out of, right? That big studio there.
Do you know the story of that?
Well, that's when the Rolling Stones recorded there, and
So when Otis Redding passed, where the service was and where the parking lot was, there was a little studio right between that area. And that's where the Allman Brothers rehearsed. And so a lot of music executives parked for Otis's Redding service. They walked by the Allman Brothers practicing, and they're like, well, that's really good. They go to the service, they walk back to their cars, and they're still rehearsing, and they decided we should maybe knock on this door because this sounds really good. And voila.
All right,
But,
the Otis
there's
Redding
some-
to Allman Brothers connection.
Some good music out of Macon.
Yeah.
We have a fun music. Franklin, can you yell into the mic? No, the man, the legend from
James Brown for a little
he worked for James Brown.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
you're just
pride
gonna
of Augusta.
Swallow that real quick, Franklin.
I had a lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs. I worked for.
I didn't have a cool job. I just made sure people got to the hotel. It was like my job.
He shuttled
With James
people.
Brown, that's a cool
That's
job.
a cool job.
That's
That
a
could-
tough
that
one.
could-
I did have a bag of money for bribes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's
hope
what I
that-
care about.
Did you get that, Franklin? Did you get the thing that you just said on your microphone? Because that was awesome. Yes,
But
the money bag. You were James Brown's bagman.
That-
You never had such a good time.
Bribing cops.
And Franklin, he did know his name. Like he would come to. He gave you the
He
bag.
did not know my name.
Yes, he did. You
No,
told me he did.
He did not know my name.
He did not know your name. Oh.
I was the white boy, like the little white boy.
No, that's good. That's from James Brown.
That's what I
I'm
call
taking
Joe.
that as he knows your name.
I mean,
Yeah.
you also have to think James Brown, what he knew and didn't know at any given time are not a single solid block of facts. There are different facts that he knows.
That's amazing.
That is.
What he
Franklin is
knows
so
and does not know is not a block of facts. That's a. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that was.
Franklin
I'm getting
has
an even
so
bigger
many
James
stories.
Brown tattoo now.
That was heavy.
This is Franklin from
Amazing.
Augusta, Georgia. Okay, lots of stories. I love that so much.
The home of James Brown.
Yeah.
James Brown.
I went
would
to James
say-
Brown Arena for concerts all the time. I'm from just north of Augusta.
North Augusta.
From Aiken.
Oh,
One more north.
yeah. No, I was explaining that to someone the other day. It's like you have Augusta, then North Augusta, then you have Aiken. And everything is Augusta except for North Augusta or Aiken.
Yeah.
Well, Franklin has lots of stories, so we can share those. I thought he knew your name, Franklin. I'm a little sad.
I probably knew it at various moments.
It goes in and out of reality.
It was sometimes it was in the block, and sometimes it wasn't in the block.
Me if he climbed up this tree and he pointed to a column inside the hotel. If he climbed up that tree and jumped off, could he fly? And I just like, yes, sir, Mr. Brown. Probably.
Yeah, damn
Probably
straight.
you can fly.
That's the funny answer he's
Of course.
supposed to give.
I love it so much.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
Mr.
we have
Brown.
party guests knocking
Okay,
at the
knocking
door.
at the door.
I'm so excited
right.
to start this party. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you, Eric Crane. Thank you,
Thank
Sam
you, Kelly.
Coturri, for thank you, and thank you, Taylor, for having us.
Thank you, Kelly.
Taylor.
All right.
Your first podcast. Did we scare you away?
It took me a second to settle in. Now I think
You
I'm
wanna
ready.
Keep going, right?
Yeah. I'm ready to keep going.
It's hard to end. It's hard to wrap it up.
Toothpick in front of my mouth.
It's time to party. I'm so sorry.
All right,
we'll have
tie-dye
to
before the
wrap.
high.
We're gonna wrap. But cheers. Thank you all
Cheers.
so much. Cheers to tie-dye before the high. Thank you, 16600.
Cheers.
Thank you, Vine Club. Let's
Thank
go.
you. A cork in the road.
Yay.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers.